let the machine do its thing. But also you can see that sometimes the paper images are working the same. So never get perfect image. Maybe I'll get one, but it will use, and I think that's the reflection online and just that. Yes, I guess that right. Good question. They are images of tree stumps that I use that model as an expanded model or expanded ethic. So it's trying to make a tree stump from a bird's eye view of the process of formation. From a bird's eye view, however, if you look at it, so this one in particular, it's trying to draw a circular part of the stump and then all the rings. But what we find is there are other images. This one here with the circles. That's part of those are actually the buds. Like that's part of my data set where I put in the elm bark, the elm bark beetle that carries the fungus that is the Dutch elm disease. And so these are actually, I know this, nobody else knows this, but I know that those are representations of the beetles. And so you'll also see that in the video where this is birds, caterpillars, grass, tree stumps, mushrooms, wraps, paper wrapping, garbage, detritus, all the things sort of around trees, and then this video just sort of works through those things. Yes?
Is this video generating this imagery in real time, or is this a pre-recorded video? Okay.
Yeah, it's pre-recorded. Yeah.
How long did it take for it to learn to write?
Well, once the model was trained, the model took about 5 hours, and then to generate the images is a little faster, and what happens is they're all taken images, and then they're interpolated together, and you might have heard in some of the talk of machine learning and
They got a little loud there.
images, it's this thing called like space law, and basically it's an interpolation between images of the space in the image, and so that's where you have these, and then it moves, and it disappears, then it comes back, and so that's where you're getting the idea of like a mathematical formula of all those pixels going from okay, sorry. Yes, so it's, and then the sound is basically just loop sounds of birds, wasps, and chirpy birdies. And these are my representations of the mushroom clusters, the mushrooms that feed on the fungus that eats the dead wood. And you see when the trees are cut down, that they sprout up and they're kind of cut mushrooms that they're in the ground. And you can touch them, and they're made of paper, of the drawings we tested on. So here's the thing about my compounding over and over of things. It's just sort of the way I work. Shredded all the test drawings I was working on. And also I had a friend who had elm lumber saws. And so I made this out of elms, and elm lumber is reclaimed lumber from the trees that we cut down. So, yes, so yeah. Yes. Kind of like, yes. So I'm using the paper to, I'm reusing the paper, so I'm recycling, but I'm also printing on paper, which is fresh paper. The question is it kind of like that? And Yeah, I think so. It is. It's sort of a self-eating, or is it a self-regenerating? A second life? It could be a second life. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah. Oh, sure. It's paper, color paper, and it's a hexagon shape, which is just sort of a representation of the cellular structure of the tree. And I call it the xylem curtain. And xylem is one of the cells, there's two subs of cells that take the xylem and one transports up, and the other cells transport nutrients down. So that's what that's happening. And it makes sparkles for the rest of the tiny mechanisms like trying to make it forward. I'm sure you'll have more questions as we go on. So that's, as I said, as I went to the gallery.
Please use the gun. Everybody needs a very real question for you to come on things. Welcome to the Terrarium Soundscapes by Helga Jakobson, who is a transdisciplinary artist living on treaty and territory, often working in new media with particular affinity for sound and media. Her practice focuses on loss, death, and ephemerality. Daily producers that center around the sixth massive distinction that we have put in, as well as how to live on a damaged earth, and how to make tangible beyond the invisible and inaudible losses that are occurring all around us. So, what we have here is Terrarium Soundscape 1 and 2, which are separated by floor layer and the sound is similar to what I can figure.
Sure. Yeah, so these two pieces are kind of new outputs of the machinery that I built. Inside of it, I built these instruments, so I have an Arduino board that is reading the bioelectric capacitance of the plants and outputting it as MIDI. So taking the electricity and outputting it as sound. And then I have a second piece inside where it's a synthesizer that I built to when the keyboard is played by the plants, it triggers samples that are in like audio samples. So that's what kind of creates the soundscape for these. This is this it's hard to talk about. This work is it's kind of an ongoing experiment. I think this is kind of an output of kind of a larger body of work where I'm just trying to learn how to listen to plants and how to let them sing out or play out in their own way without anthropomorphizing them. I think it's really important to find new ways of relating to the earth and the beings that are on the earth that aren't necessarily human. And I think it's really present right now, living in an mass extinction, and trying to find ways of having a more compassionate relationship with the beings that are around you. So, this for me is a way of applying some rational compassion. So the scale from me to these plants changes because I can hear them, then I can apply that kind of new ratio, that new relationship to the larger scope. Right? It's hard to place yourself in the cosmos. It's hard for you to place yourself And so this terrarium where we've got 2 ayahuasca vines and then 2 San Pedro cacti. In this one I've got 2 salvia plants and then cava cava and a betel plant. And all of these are psychedelics. You can consume them and they alter your perception. So I thought they would be a great fit for a show on dreaming, to think about lucidity and the samples that I chose in this one are primarily based off of Sun Ra Orchestra's song Dreaming, which I think is a really, really great song. And then in this one right now, I have it playing off of Logic Pro with a couple of different libraries that totally remind me of Stevie Wonder's The Secret Life of Plants that I looked at from the movie, but also Fleetwood Mac's song Dreams. And so they're kind of remixing these and acting them in their own way. These pieces of equipment, as all technology, Lucie is just saying, we're all kind of fidgeting with them because we could just play it forever. It never ends. And especially when something's acting live, it's really hard to control. And I really like that, although it stresses me out quite a lot as well. And so with them, the equipment's really sensitive. It's reading the bioelectric capacitance. This is a little bit more contained than having it playing in open air, because of course the climate inside of it is self-regulating, but it takes a really long time for the plants to acclimate in there, and then that capacitance changes immensely. So I just try and sit with them for as very long as I possibly can and really watch them and really try to understand when they're getting excited, because that's what's going to hit the keys. So I want to be able to support them in playing beautiful music, but then I'll leave the room and come back and it'll be entirely different. Challenging to collaborate with these guys. That's some stuff about these. The lights, the color of the lights are optimal for their growth, but they're also beautiful. I really like them. The terrariums are handmade and very bespoke.
It's so funny that such an artificial color is awful, right?
Yeah. It's really fun when I didn't like it the first time that I installed plants in the gallery. I wanted it to just be the plants and to be kind of warm, clear light. And then I realized that it's really, you just have to remove your ego. The composition isn't about me. The color isn't about me. It's about the plants and just trying to center them. And so whatever works for them works for me. But I think they're kind of cool.
So I understand you were trying to create a happy environment for the plants. And you do that by obviously giving them to eat plants, grow plants, but you also physically feed them using this.
Not necessarily with the samples I've chosen as for my taste, but what I've done is I've watched their capacitance, but I've monitored them for a long period of time, watching their peaks and valleys, and I picked when I think they're the most excited to let them play that note instead of having them play continuously. So if I chose their max, if the scale was 0 to 5,
can see if one's output influences another. I think along the lines of that, like, there's a lot of discussion in science about dystopia, being connected, trees talking to each other, creating all these kinds of predators or predators and stuff. So it's just a curious, you've got two separate things here that I'm just curious if you want to explore, allowing them to speak to each other.
Yeah,
And so I went in and recorded all the plants before they die. And now I'm composing from that information so that yeah, so I mean it's really fertile ground to think with, and I think like Donna Haraway is one of my very favorite theoreticians, and she says you know, think you must in this moment where you have to become with the plants, become with the systems that are creating the circumstances that we're in, and finding new ways of being, because the ways that we're interacting are working for the earth, certainly, and often not for each other. So I think sitting and listening to plants for me creates a really positive result where I feel like I can operate a little bit meditative and a little bit to just sit and reflect and try to read the world with myself.
Good thing. Sit with plants.
Yeah, that's just what I do. I'm into it.
Yeah. More questions? Continue our spiral. This is where we'll gather around. Really long volunteer community. So this is Taylor. We've been having sound issues the last couple of times, but because it's not my thing. So everybody hold the mic really close to your mouth. So what? So Taylor McArthur, or is Dakota of Western Dakota First Nation. She was raised in southwestern Manitoba and is currently residing in Montreal, Quebec. McArthur is an award-winning visual artist with 3D animation, video game design, and video. Her practice is formed by Indigenous futurisms, and she seeks to situate Indigenous culture in modern and potential very dark future. Modern and potential future vision. She received the 2023 Platform Poverty Award, 2022 Emerging Arts Award, and the 2022 Winnipeg Art Council Legacy on the Rise Award. So welcome, Taylor. I'm just gonna unplug this and test one more time. Okay, welcome.
Hi.
So this is what I'm saying, and can everybody see? We'll get George to come closer to the screen. So that's everything. And we can all gather behind him. So Taylor, this was something that I came across when it was exhibited exclusively online at the Mackenzie. I think it's been exhibited in other places. Can you just tell me kind of how it started?
Yeah. So I think back in 2021 or 2020, it was part of their residency with the Mackenzie Main Gallery, and we were just learning how to like experiment and play around with different like, video game engines and just bringing learning how to bring like interactivity to these kind of elements, because prior to that, I had been playing around with the software Blender, which is mainly just like a 3D one, and then there's some like animation aspects to it, but it doesn't really have any interactivity. So during that residency, we got to learn how to create and build like terrains and like landscapes inside Unity. And then I found out that it was something again that I like just instantly fell in love with, and it was something I really enjoyed doing because I could build these very like magical worlds that you're not able to see or experience kind of right now. Like in these spaces, you have like unlimited possibilities to kind of experiment with whatever it is that you like. So it was really like I felt like I learned a lot during that residency, and it really helped kind of like piqued this interest of like, I would like to do some more things in Unity. And at that point in time, I think it was one of my first pieces that I had created purely inside Unity. And then since then, I've done another one with a fellow friend from Brandon, and he was actually one of my friends we had our first exhibition with, and it was Dallas Fletwapesh. But yeah, so I'll kind of talk about, you know, this piece here a little bit and like why I decided to make it. And I chose to kind of create this based on like a walking simulator. So it's a term that's used in like game design, and in the sense of like a walking simulator, there's always like movements and kind of like environmental interaction, maybe solving puzzles sometimes, but it's always without like elements of like there's no combat and there's no kind of winning or losing in these types here. So I wanted it to be something that was like really peaceful, you know, very calm kind of feeling. So if there's sound in there right now, you should be able to kind of hear there's like some crickets and some water kind of in the background. And then I couldn't really, you know, think of a theme at first, and it was a little bit hard for me to decide, like, you know, what was the path that I was going to choose, or, you know, go with, now that I know these tools here that I've learned inside during that residency. And I sat there for a while and I was reflecting, and I always come back to this, I don't know, this like feeling I always like to like revisit, and one of them is like memories. So for me, I've always kind of been a bit of like a daydreamer. I'm always thinking about kind of past things or whatnot. And I decided I wanted to pick out, you know, 3 very important memories that or that are important to me in my life here. So I picked out one from when I was a little kid, in the sense of like, it's the first memory that I ever remember having. And it was the one with like the giant like willow tree in front of it. And the reason why I had chosen a willow tree was because I was about 3 or 4 years old, and we had moved to Germany. So my mom had met my stepdad when I was about 2 years old. We had moved there and we were living there, and my Oma and Opa had this like willow tree in their yard, and I always remember going underneath that tree and playing under it, because it just felt like this safe space and like this magical, I don't know, little fort that I had. And like, for me, it's a really important and strong memory because, you know, although I wasn't like my Oma and Opa's biological granddaughter, they took me in, and it was just so much love and like genuine love that I remember. And it's a really truly like special memory to me, because like it's that love that they had for me was just so pure, and it's one of the first memories that, you know, I ever have. So it was really it really sticks into my mind a lot. And I can see right now someone's walking up to the willow tree here, and there's kind of like these glass boxes that I had placed around these like 3 different memories. And the reason why I kind of chose these like glass boxes that are like obstructive and kind of like fuzzy, it's kind of like represent that, like, you know, memories sometimes are a bit fuzzy. So that's what I kind of tried to like represent with that. And then the second one was kind of just like these three like elemental like symbols that I used to like represent my siblings, because after we had lived in Germany, we moved back to Canada and out to Rapid City in 1998, and I had a very like close bond with my siblings growing up, because it was a little bit challenging at times coming into a small town in like a small community where there's a lot of like close-knit families that have been there for years, and we were a different one, you know, kind of coming in. We were, you know, a mix of like Indigenous, in German, and sometimes there were some points where like we were purposely kind of like left out of things or treated differently because of that. But we always had this really strong bond with each other, and almost like had like our special, like, I don't know, language that we had with each other. And it was they were just like really big, important people, siblings in my life there. And it was just really nice that we had like a really close bond like that. And then even since making this piece 3 years ago, my siblings and I, we've sat down and we've talked about things from our childhood and things that we struggled with that we didn't know and we didn't share and we kept from each other. And then now we're kind of like a little bit more able to be open and share these things in a way to kind of help us, I don't know, navigate adulthood now that we're all, in our 20s and 30s. So yeah, and then the last piece was one, it was a really special memory. It was in 2020 there was that comet Neowise that was coming by Earth, and it was like my sister and I, we had gone out and we're like stargazing, and we could see this comet off into the distance, and we were like really excited. And then it was like a point where I had realized my little baby sister was growing up, and all of a sudden she just started looking like an adult in the way that how she was speaking, and just big things and questions that were on her mind that she had never asked me before. And it was like something that was really different. I noticed, I don't know if it's because I was like her older sister and I had been so protective and always looking out for her. And I don't think she knows this, but I'm pretty sure when we were sitting there I had like a little tear roll down my face. But it was all good, and it was just a really special moment to me. So those are those three kind of special memories there. And then in the middle, I know you can kind of see these like glowing, color shifting towers. And I kind of wanted it to be in the sense like, kind of when you like look up at them and get close to them, it's almost like, we're looking at like, the next chapter, the next journey, what's going to change. Even since making this piece, so much in my life has changed. There's been very definitive chapters that have passed, since making this here. Yeah, I think that's most of what I wanted to share with this. So if anyone's got any questions. Oh no, I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Of course you can't, because I muted myself.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for that. What we had been commenting on yesterday was because in the gallery, you're right next to Helga's pieces, and the fact that yours is in this valley, this really contained space, and your movement is kind of restricted as much as it's a walking simulator. You can look around, you can move, but you kind of bump up against these glass boxes. And I think that idea of the contained, I mean, even kind of the neon quality of it, right? It is about this displacement, this relationship with the natural world. And even though this is about your personal memories, they manifest in this natural world that's in this contained valley. And I wondered if you had any thoughts about how the uninhabited landscape can hold all of those things better, other things?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I guess for me, I always connect. A lot of my memories are very much connected to like land or landscape now that I'm just like sitting here and thinking about it, because like in my head, I always picture the landscape rather than like the actual like memory itself right now. Like even like the one with like my siblings, like because that's kind of surrounded by like tall grass, that is immediately brought back to kind of this spot in Rapid City that was like near the golf course and like by the river through these like kind of like really tall reeds. And I don't know what it is, but my mind always is drawn or always like pulls back to that. And I don't know if it's because it's something that I just find myself constantly observing or just, just staring at and kind of like getting lost in. And then even that one itself also jumps between this memory of like being in Saskatchewan at my mushums. We'd always have like a campfire. And we lived on like a rump, and there's like very large rolling hills. We'd always run up those hills and like play around in the grass there. So yeah, I think there's always just been this really strong connection to the land. And then I actually just realized I forgot to bring up with each one of those kind of memories there, I had placed these like glowing kind of portals that you see within them, and I purposely put these glass boxes there so you can't just walk up to the glass box and you can't get into it. You have to use these portals to enter and then get into that exact memory, but then you can walk out freely from whatever angle it is.
I have to mute everything and unmute everything. So thank you. I love that. I had actually forgotten that. I specifically noticed it with the willow, because you really want to get under those branches, because that's what you do with the weeping willow. And I couldn't, and then I remembered the portal, and suddenly I was in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any questions for Taylor? I know this is hybrid and complicated. No? Okay. Thanks very much. I'll hide you again.
Thank you.
Okay. And I'll unmute everything. Hi there.
Okay, George Michael. Do we need chairs? So I don't know if anybody from ACC has joined us today. So I'm going to quickly talk about this piece. Officially opening in January of 2023, the Center for Creative Media at Simba Community College in Brandon is over 10,000 square feet of multifunctional space, including classrooms for students that work on film production alongside dedicated screening areas for high-end contemporary sound systems, state-of-the-art print shop, radio station, and more. Students of the Media and Communications, Digital Art and Design, and Web and Interactive Development programs, all of which were launched in 2021, are the primary users of the center, which can welcome up to 60 students a year. Students complete an 80 practical placement as well as a collaborative capstone project. And starting this year with the opening of this brand new media center, the digital art and design students have created a piece of day recipe for their portfolio, because it is a trade school, and realizing that they were left with this very collaborative portfolio-based, collaborative projects, group projects, really crafted projects. One of them really had been with. So all of these students are responding to the idea of Oneirophyte, of fanstream, what the fanstream about, and really work browsing through. Happened to be and also was designed by someone who works here, named Amelia, who's also a graduate of the ACC program. Continuing our slide. Specializes in sculpture, installation, 3D, VR, AR, 360, video and audio works, music, soundscapes, and film scores. He's an international artist who has participated in many residencies, exhibits, festivals, collaborations in parts of the world, Finland, Colombia, Chile, Mexico, the Netherlands, the USA, the UK, and Italy for Tunisia. He is also a musician, producer, filmmaker, actor, narrator, and actor. He has a teaching director from London College, a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree from Oxford University, and a Master of Fine Arts degree from the University of Manitoba. It's a lot. It's a lot. And this is Indie Casting Time, which has grown since we spoke about a year ago. It's
Yeah. Yeah, so this is within my arts journey. I started in college as a visual artist, and then did my DFA and my MFA, acquired more appreciation and skills for more traditional forms of art, but I've always kind of mixed digital and physical art together, as well as sound. All of this is a sound statement. For this piece in particular, I really wanted to play with relationship and juxtaposition and contrast between the physical and digital, the manufactured and the organic. So the pieces of driftwood were harvested from the same river in Winnipeg over about 2 years ago. They were initially planned for an installation in Ottawa, but effectively fell through. Not by my doing, but someone else's. So it was really good to use them again, to actually put them to use them to create an installation with this work. This is my first installation in about 3 years because I've been working very visually since the beginning of the pandemic. And when the iPhone 12 Pro came out, I absolutely had to get one because of this LiDAR technology that's embedded in the phone. So I was really fascinated with the ability to just 3D scan something with your phone and then convert that into 3D software. So almost all of the 3D animations that you're seeing on the screen are a byproduct of scanning an actual living physical tree in various parts of Winnipeg. And what that does is it scans the outer surface of the tree, so it creates this like hollow structure where you're seeing the inside, the outside of the tree within the inside portions of it. And I found that was an opportunity to activate the inside of the tree. So in a couple of the animations, this one called Being, which is like a bunch of these glowing orbs sort of like flowing through the tree as if they were blood cells in the human body. This piece here is called Life, sort of like the lifeblood of a tree, which allowed me to create a fluid simulation that ran through all of the extremities of the tree itself. This took a lot of tries because fluid simulations are quite finicky regardless of which 3D software you're using, but I finally got a result that I was happy with this piece. This piece is called Galaxy, and it's basically like envisioning a galaxy that's completely made out of wood. Like everything within the galaxy is made out of wood. And this is the only piece that reflects some of the physical materials within the digital creation itself. So the rings, the pieces of wood within this 3D animation is the LiDAR scan of this middle piece of driftwood here. And I just applied a ring modifier to it to give me this like circular sort of fashion. And this piece I call preservation, and it's basically like, let's say, a futuristic sort of aspect of preserving the nature of today. So these rings, glowing rings that are kind of like hovering around it are kind of just like keeping it intact, keeping it alive, giving it the nutrients it needs to live. And this one in particular is a good example of the imperfections that happen within the LiDAR scans themselves. So I did about 3 circles around the tree when I was actually scanning it. And the further you get away from some of the branches and that sort of thing, it picks up other information that you don't necessarily
want to be there, but it's kind of like a happy accident. So it is scanning the trees, but it's also scanning the sky and kind of like mapping that in with the 3D scan itself. And initially I was starting to get rid of it, but it was just like, you know what, I kind of like this, so I'm gonna keep it. So within all the animations, there are these imperfections, there are parts of it that don't get scanned, that don't get picked up. But I just allowed myself to kind of go with that, with the transparency of highlighting these imperfections. I'm quite a transparent person, so it's like I kind of feel like my art can be that as well. One of the reasons why I chose not to hide any of the wires within the actual physical installation itself, I wanted to kind of like really show them, to be transparent about how everything is hooked up and that sort of thing, because there's a lot of beauty that can kind of happen within that transparency itself. So yeah, there's also the correlation of the 4 directions within this work as well. A few of my installations and works of art have dealt with the aspects of the medicine wheel. This was really convenient how it was set up, with Lucie informing me that these directions that the monitors are in are actual like true north, south, west, and east, which I found was really fitting. And in construction with this installation, I had 5 more pieces of driftwood that I chose not to put up because when it got to this point, even though it looks visually simplistic, I felt like it was one of those cases where almost like less is more. And I'm saying this like because I know the work that I've made in the past, like some of the installations I've constructed, people call them monstrosities, and that's a compliment. Whereas this is more of like a modest, mild installation, but complicated in a different way. There's a lot of 3D animations and the harvesting and everything like that. There's a lot of work that was put into it. And one of the final touches that I wanted to implement with this piece was the astroturf. It's intended to kind of invite people up to look closer at the work. Although it is at this distance, that it acts like a barrier. Like I had to tell people.
I noticed you were scanning.
Yeah, exactly. Right? It's like a subconscious sort of thing because, like, you know, people that are familiar with galleries and that sort of thing, like, oh, you know, that's the art, right? But I wanted to have this turf here to welcome people to get closer to it. Obviously, touch anything, but like to have this sort of like artificially grounded sort of feeling with like stepping onto the turf and getting closer, and also to highlight that contrast between the real and the manufactured, because this is one step up from like golf green sort of turf. It has a little bit of length to it, and I really like it. And it's the first time I've ever worked with or bought AstroTurf, and I'm so excited. It's like I was like, eating what I was like, oh yeah, my first AstroTurf sort of piece. It's like, okay. And then cutting it in a circle is sort of important to sort of highlight the shape and everything of it, but it's also kind of like reflecting the sort of life in regards to the material as well.
And I want to make sure that we're not sorry, but this idea of a future universe and how trees are remembered or how trees will remember us in that future universe.
Yeah. So this is with some of these animations and that sort of thing. I want to kind of play with this idea of like, what would future generations think of nature today, and would they be accurate in their depictions of how nature acted and how it reacted, right? So some of these animations are basically like future generations getting it wrong, you know, within say this piece or the life piece. It's like, oh yeah, trees have water flowing through, which technically they do, but just not at that capacity, right? So it's kind of just this, it's sort of like a playful sort of notion of how they're depicted as well.
So I didn't make the connection before of this like inaccurate filing here, it's inaccurate filing video, these capillary systems. Any questions? Easy? You want to walk on this carpet? I really don't. Wonderful sound. finds it really immerse the idea of art being on walls and on feet. It feels very perfect for our space because of the interactive.
Working with the older kind of technology was interesting. It's kind of a challenge as well. First of all, trying to find 4 identical monitors without breaking the bank, right? I was fortunate enough to find someone on the GG who had this like plethora of monitors that they must have acquired from school or something. So he had 6 of these monitors on sale. Only 4 of them, but I'm going to buy all 6. I have 2 of them on each side of my main monitor in my house, so it's just like triple monitor setup. Quite dirty, but but I was able to utilize these. However, they don't have an HDMI output, so I have to buy VGA cables and VGA adapters to input into the media players, which I'm really stoked on. These are like the smallest media players I've ever worked with. So they're like they fit in the palm of your hand. They're really powerful, and they have these autoplay functions. It's like plug and play. And I also wanted to create this work with the ability to re-show it in the future, because that's something that's lined up in the next couple of years, so we're planning to re-show it. So that kind of continuation of showing that plan, which I never really was used to, like when I was creating installations, it was kind of always this one-time thing that I was like somewhat proud of, but in the arts world, that wasn't really, you want to show yourself a foot, right? So continuing to get inspiration from re-showing work, and that is the construction of it as well. Like in the past, when I used branches and ceiling, it would pretty much just be like tying the cable or the fishing line right around the tree, whereas in this case, I can connect hooks to sort of signify that this is where they're going to come from every time the collision is done. So, yeah.
Exactly. It's making me think about 2 things. One is that iteration that every single person. I guess it's like the favorite piece, but then the idea of what's the photograph that I suppose one of the times around. And the other one is this the idea that how you're supposed to behave in the gallery is organic material. So you kind of organic material has been worked on so much. And the idea that the reason that you're not allowed to have organic material is because the insect instead of insects like backyards, there's an ecosystem there that before you started, but the insects and the plants are really completely separate. So we're trying to create this gathering is kind of super thing as well. I was so too long these things. Any questions? I'm going to finish up by just talking really briefly about Sylvia's piece. People can sit and ask more questions about general concerns. Okay, so Sylvia unfortunately could not join us today, but I have a huge admiration to Winnipeg, and I find that she's somebody who is just really interested in the same things that I'm interested in, so I was really happy to find a bit like this one. But there's any number of shows in the future that she would also fit. Sylvia McArthur is an artist living on Koyczan territory in Winnipeg. Her practice combines interest in language, resulting in videos, books, texts, and drawings. She received her MFA from the Chelsea College of Art in London, England. Her work has been exhibited at the Art Museum at the University of Toronto, Gallery 44, YYC Art Sounded, Mercer Union Toronto, the Current Art Centre, Barrie, Ontario, the Winnipeg Art Gallery, London ICA in Winnipeg, Truck Contemporary Art in Calgary, and Earthreader and Measurement. So this is House Band. It's a video 218 seconds long from 2022. And this is part of her practice of basically scouring the internet for footage and escaping between 4 stereos so that it's streamed online, and she found any footage that captured plants. And it's kind of funny, right, that it wouldn't be allowed, but it's also in the same way the words of the Magnolia said, like kind of eerie, where it seems as though the security camera was planted and then the plants grew around it in most cases. But what if the cameras were actually set up just so they
through this kind of soulless camera. So the idea of what plants are doing when nobody's watching, because just this soulless camera is watching, is why I was so happy to be making the show. Right? It's just fancy and it's caught on tape. Much like Helga's work, where you can just pretend that you're not there, you can see what they're actually doing, right? And of course, she has this structure of subtitling things and really what's the word I'm looking for? Like mysterious phrases. That's not exactly the word, but nudges to the points that she's trying to make and feel like she's understanding something that you aren't quite. And one of my favorite lines that she says, "Electrons disguised as lips," which really brings everything together. All of us are just in our scenes, right? And we're cells that are interacting with each other. Okay, that's the full tour. Nobody's come out of town except for the artists, but Kelly Prince to come several times because all of his speeches along as I see scripture depends on how many people are in the gallery and what you feel like. And there's going to be lots more stuff online and in person, workshops in person.